Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Creative Living Fellowship's online service. Please join me in singing our opening song, Use Me.
Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. I used to think God was the sun, God is the sun, and God's so much more than the earth and the stars and all of creation. God is creator, all in all, and God needs us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Command my hands, what must they do? Command my life, it's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is creator, makes all things new, and God needs us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do.
Hi, CLF.
Hi, CLF. I love you and miss you.
Hi, CLF.
Good morning, CLF.
Hi, CLF. May love and peace be with you all.
Wow, it's always so good to see the youth ministry and the kids and the teachers and all, and so good to see all of you here this morning on our very first Zoom Sunday service. So I welcome you all. I'm the Reverend Dr. Sherry F. McCreary. I'm the senior minister here at Creative Living Fellowship, and it is my honor to welcome you here. As you know, CLF is an independent religious science church, and we welcome all paths that lead to truth. Our vision is to be a community of care, connection, and creation that opens hearts and incubates dreams. We do that through the principles and practices of the science of mind. We have two practitioners who are holding high watch this morning. They are Rhonda Emmerich and Monica Zickers. I'm sorry, Rhonda Emmerich and Monica Zickers are holding high watch this morning. And what that means is that they are sitting in meditation and prayerful contemplation, just holding a space for the perfect unfolding of our very first Zoom service. and for the perfect unfolding of whatever is going on in our lives and in the world. So thank you, Rhonda. Thank you, Monica, very much for your service. Our AV team, our Sunday service team, is here with us, as you can see, Nicole Jordan and Deb Covington, and of course, our music director, David Panessa, who led us in meditation this morning, which was really great. Thank you so much, David. Thank you so much, Deb and Nicole. We really, really appreciate your service. Our musical inspiration today is our favorite friend, Jamie Lula. So he'll be coming up in just a little bit with us. So right now, we're going to have Nicole Jordan bring us our announcements. And following the announcements, there will be a brief gong wash. After the gong wash, there'll be a few moments of silence. And then practitioner Reverend Mary Jane Hyde will bring us our reading and our opening prayer. But first, Nicole has the announcements.
Good morning, Creative Living Fellowship. Are you ready for your announcements? So Reverend Sherry pulled a fast one on us and decided to jump feet first into doing Sunday service through Zoom. So for those of you not here in Zoom, but watching on our live streams on Facebook, YouTube, or our website, it is not too late to join us in Zoom. The links to our meetings can be found in the description of these videos. And if you're happy viewing through those programs, then thank you so much for joining us wherever you are. If you do join us in Zoom for Sundays, come early. We start at 9:30 a.m. with a 15-minute silent meditation. Well, not exactly silent, because as Reverend Sherry mentioned, David plays piano music for us. After that, participants are freed from the mute zone and able to visit before we start our service and live stream at 10 a.m. Remember to join us for midday meditation Monday through Thursday on Facebook at noon, and also on Sundays at 9:30 a.m. in Zoom. Again, use the Sunday service Zoom link for participants or to participate in the Sunday morning meditation. This Monday, September 7th at 6:30 p.m., our online weekly book study is starting a new book, Buddha for Beginners. Buddha for Beginners introduces the reader to the historical Buddha, to the ideas that made him change his life, and to the fascinating philosophical debates that engaged him and formed the core of Buddhism. Buddha for Beginners is not a book you read, it's a book you experience. Through some magical combinations of words, drawings, and intuitive wisdom, Buddha for Beginners conveys not only the facts of Buddhism, but the peace, the silence, the feel of it. And through the weekly book study, you get to take that journey with your spiritual family. Stay connected and supported with that CLF family, and join Reverend Sherry every Tuesday as she hosts a Community Care Connection Zoom meeting at 6:30. This week, Reverend Sherry will be leading everyone in life's purpose visioning. This is an every other week activity in the connection meeting, and it's to deepen and reveal God's vision for your life. And who doesn't want that? We look forward to seeing you on Tuesday. We are having an online new membership orientation next Sunday, September 13th at 11:30 a.m. Anyone interested in what it means to be a CLF family or CLF member already knows that you want to be a member or wants to reactivate their membership should join us for the orientation. The first step is to fill out the member request form and then join us for the orientation next Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Come join the family. And I'm so excited to announce that the Youth Ministry's weekly lessons are starting back up on September 13th. We have a new day and time. We are now meeting on Sundays at 1 p.m. And I can't wait to see your kids and hear about all their adventures in school. Our lessons are focused on nurturing spirituality and science of mind practices for our kids. Weekly topics are inspired by Reverend Sherry's themes and include growth mindset, social emotional skills, and mindfulness exercises. Active members or aspiring active members, mark your calendar for Sunday, September 27th at 11:30 a.m. for our special membership meeting. This is a business meeting that requires the attendance of active members to vote on any business decisions needing to be made. This meeting is also open to the entire community. However, only active members will be eligible to vote. And members, it is imperative that you confirm your membership status by next Sunday, September 13th. Please respond to the annual membership status email that went out on August 30th as soon as you can. And another reminder will go out to those who have not responded yet. In the 2016 general election, not quite 75% of Maricopa County eligible voters actually voted, and 78% of all voters voted by mail. There was still 25% of our county who did not vote. County, state, and federal elections could have been drastically different if even some of that 25% would have voted. If not yet registered to vote, we at Creative Living Fellowship strongly encourage you to exercise faithful citizenship by registering to vote. We highly recommend that you do it now and do not wait. If you are registered but do not vote by mail, especially during the pandemic, we encourage you to seriously consider voting by mail. It's simple, safe, and secure. However, because of the problems with the U.S. Post Office slowdown, please consider dropping off your completed ballot at one of the early voting polling places. Check out the links in the comments for several voting resources. Remember, you can use text to give to make your contributions to CLF. Simply text the amount you'd like to give to 602-610-1868. If it's your first time texting to give, you will receive a link to set up your account. And once that's completed, it's as simple as texting the amount you'd like to donate to 602-610-1868. And CLF is a tithing church, which means that we tithe off of your donations as a part of our spiritual practice. Our third quarter tithes are going to St. Mary's Food Bank. And speaking of those quarterly tithes, we're always looking for nonprofits to send our quarterly tithes to. So if you have a nonprofit you would like to nominate, please use the link found in the comments to submit your recommendation. And note that you have to fill out the form to have your recommendation considered. Our Sunday prayer room is available to you after service today. There's no reason to miss out on your post-service prayer with a practitioner, as technology enables us to continue to provide this service to you. So immediately after service, head on over to Zoom and let one of our licensed practitioners hold the truth for you no matter what you're going through, and offer you support through spiritual mind treatment and using spiritual practices. And we have post-service fellowship too. Join practitioner Jeannie Sovereigns in Facebook Messenger chat from 11:15 to 12:15 and hang out, discuss the service, what's on your mind or heart, or share something new you learned, like I'm learning how to give live announcements while directing live stream through Zoom. You can find the details for all of our events with their links on our website under events, under our Facebook events, posted in the comments, or in your weekly newsletter. And that is it for today's announcements. It is now time to move on to our gong wash, followed by a moment of silence.
So our reading today is from the Science of Mind textbook, page 487, The Great Awakening from the Teachings of Jesus, based on Romans 13:11. Now it is high time to awake out of sleep. The belief in a life apart from good is a dream from which we must awake if we are to taste the waters of reality, which flow from the source of life. As one awakes from a nightmare, so the mentality awakes from the dream of a living death to a realization of eternal life. We cast off the works of darkness when we realize the evil is not an entity, but a fraud. The armor of light is the truth, the very knowing of which makes free. This awakening is a process of evolution, a little here and a little there, until the whole eye is opened and we can see that life is neither separate from God nor different from good. Life is God, and good is the only power there is or can be. To awaken oneself is to be healed, made prosperous, happy, and satisfied, to be made every whit whole, to be complete as we were intended to be. God is a God of the living and not of the dead. He sees and knows only perfection and completion, happiness and satisfaction. When we shall think of ourselves as God knows us, then complete salvation will come to us. And so it is. And so, if we take these inspiring words from Ernest into the quiet, into the depths, and shake off anything else, and just be in the presence, in the power, in the peace and love and good that is God. We're just going to be in that presence because God is love, God is peace, God is good, harmony, joy, infinite intelligence, infinite flow of good. That is what God is, and that is what is expressing in, through, and as me right here, right now. And that same energy, all those attributes of good and peace and love are at the center of each person here within the sound of my voice. And that is what is expressing in, through, and as each. Right here and right now, and in this knowing, I speak my word, and I accept that this divine light, this good, is expressed through each person as we go about our days, as we go about our work. And that this divine energy of love just fills each person on this planet. That the divine energy of healing fills each person on this planet. And anything unlike that just falls away. There is no disease, no dis-ease. There is no anger. There is no division, because we are all one. We are all one in this godness, in this goodness. And so that is what is called forth. That is what shines through. And I accept that. I accept that for each person here. And I also accept that this service, this beautiful experience that we have to see each other, even in the midst of a pandemic, that everything unfolds beautifully and everybody is fed in the highest and best way possible through the fellowship, through the words, the inspired words that come through Reverend Sherry, through the prayer, through the music, and through the fellowship. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for this love that is expressed. And I say thank you. And I release this, knowing that it is done. And so I release into the law. And so it is. And our music inspiration today is Jamie Lula.
Good morning, Creative Living Fellowship. Sending you love and light from Southern California, Lake Balboa to be exact. Knowing that the best is being revealed for you and your community, your family, and your friends through these unprecedented times. Something's calling me. Something's calling me. Something's calling me. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me. Something's calling me. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Feels like I'm walking on marbles. Can't still the earth beneath my feet. Is my head in the clouds, my naked legs left dangling. I can feel my heart begin to pound. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. A long dark night my soul wanders. Can't see the light that moves me. If God is everything and everywhere that I belong, Spirit gently wakes me from my sleep. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, oh Lord, take me deeper than I've ever been before. ever been before. Faith is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Patience is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Peace is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. God is calling me, and I'm grateful like I've never been before. Peace and blessings.
Wow, Jamie Lula, thank you so much. One of my favorite Jamie Lula songs, Something's Calling Me. So let's take a breath. We welcome Jamie back here with us this morning. He'll be back during our offering time also. And for now, let's just take that in. Something's calling me. So as we take a breath, I welcome you to September. Believe it or not, we're in September. I say this every month, but we're in September, a new month. And we have a new theme this month. The theme is the Great Awakening. The Great Awakening. This is a time of great awakening. And an awakening is to waken out of a deep sleep, or to have an awareness, a sudden awareness usually, of something that's going on, or to have a realization of something. That's what awakening is all about. And so this month, we're just going to be exploring the Great Awakening. The Great Awakening that's happening for the world, the Great Awakening that's happening for all of us. As the reading says, as Ernest Holmes said in the reading, now is the time to awaken out of sleep. Now is the time to awaken out of sleep. And the belief in a life apart from God is a dream. A belief in a life apart from God is a dream. And now is the time to awaken from that dream, from that sleep. And so that's what we're going to be exploring right here and right now, every Sunday for the rest of this month. So let's take a breath together as we just think about this act of awakening. Think about how the world has awakened. Think about how we've had this great awakening that's happening everywhere, all around us. There was a great awakening back in May, when there was the George Floyd situation, when George Floyd was killed. That was a great awakening that happened in this country, and subsequently and consequently across the world. We became so aware of all the things that were going on, so many things that we had been sleeping through. So many people had been sleeping through social injustice. So many people had been sleeping through what was going on with the pandemic before it reached our shore. So many people have been sleeping through inequality. So many people have been sleeping through so many things. And then all of a sudden we have this great awakening. All of a sudden we're all called to be home, to be still, to turn within, to go inward, so that we could have this great awakening. And so that's what we're looking at this month. That's what we're looking at today, at how are we being called to awaken? How have we been called to awaken? My topic for today is the Van Ripple effect. The Van Ripple effect. I'm sure we all know the story of Rip Van Winkle. We've heard it from childhood. Rip Van Winkle, who lived in this town, and he was a simple man. He worked. Well, he didn't really like to work, but he did the little work that he could get away with. And he loved to fish. He loved to hunt. And the kids in the town loved him. The people in the town loved him. He was a kind man. But his wife was always very concerned about him not working, about him not being more industrious, about him not being more ambitious. And so she sort of bugged him a lot about it. The times were different then, so the author called it nagging, that he had a nagging wife. So in order to get away from his wife, he decided to go just wander up into the Catskill Mountains and he and his dog Wolf went up into the mountains one day, and he came upon a group of dwarfs who were playing games, and they had a big keg of liquor and something, and they offered it to him, and he started to play with them, and he started to drink from the keg that he had and that they had. And then he decided to lie down and take a nap. Well, he took a nap, and when he woke up, it was 20 years later. And so 20 years had passed. He didn't know where he was, what was happening. So he got up and he went back down to the village where he lived, but he didn't recognize anybody. By the time he got back down there 20 years later, he was an old man with a long white beard. His clothing was different than everybody else's. He didn't recognize anybody. Nobody recognized him. His wife had passed away. His kids were gone. Everything had changed. All of his friends were gone. And he was in a different world. He had gone to sleep for 20 years and the world had passed him by. And one of the big things that happened for him was that the town inn, it was called an inn then by the time he got back down to the town, the inn was now called a hotel. He didn't know what that was, but it was called a hotel. When he left, there was a picture of King George on the outside of the inn. When he came back, there was a picture of George Washington. And people were talking about elections, and people were talking about voting and talking to him about voting. He had no idea what they were talking about. He had no idea what voting was all about. He had no idea what an election was all about. And the whole thing was that the point of this is that life had passed him by. Life had passed him by. He had gone to sleep and life had passed him by, and he had no idea what was going on. Martin Luther King used to tell the story, and he also wrote about it, the story of Rip Van Winkle. And he talked about the fact that the revolution had passed him by, that Rip Van Winkle slept through the revolution. The world had changed and he had slept through it. And so that's what I am inviting us to look at today. I'm inviting us to look at, are we sleeping? Are we sleeping through this time? Are we sleeping through this time? Yes, there was this great awakening that happened back in May. That was this great awakening that pierced the consciousness of us all, that pierced the consciousness of the world back in May. But we get lulled into a false sense of security. We get lulled into a false sense of, oh, well, that's over now. And then we start to go back to sleep. We start to fall asleep again. We start to want to just take a little nap again. We want to hit that snooze button again. And what I'm inviting you to do is just take a look at not falling asleep again, taking a look at what was it that woke up inside you since we've been out, since we've been home a lot, since we've been out with the pandemic. We still have this pandemic. We still have these life-threatening situations that are happening in our world today. We still have COVID-19. We still have racial and social injustice. We still have income inequality. We still have all those things that keep us from experiencing the oneness of life, that keep us all from experiencing the good that is available to all of us. So the thing for us to do is to be awake, to be aware, to make sure that we are not moving into that Rip Van Winkle syndrome of falling asleep and just staying asleep. And many of us are doing that. Many of us have been doing that for so long. That's what was happening in the world before we came inward, before the big awakening that we just had within the last 6 months. We were doing what Ricky Byers sings about, is that we were walking asleep, dreaming we were awake. We were walking asleep, dreaming we were awake. We were walking asleep, dreaming we were awake. And as the song goes, this world confused me, and it was hard to discern what was up and what was down, what was real, what was not. And so, are we still walking asleep? We don't want to do that. We want to be awake and stay awake. We have awakened to our own divinity. We're beginning to awake to our own divinity. We're beginning to awake to our own oneness. We're beginning to awake to the world around us and to recognize that we are all one. And that's the greatest awakening that we can have. The greatest awakening is the awakening and the awareness and the realization that God is all there is. The greatest awakening, the greatest awareness, the greatest realization is that God is the only life, the one life, and that one life, that one source is the source of us all. And so when we come into this awareness, we have to stay awake to it. So I'm inviting you today to really do a couple of things. The first one is take a breath. Right now, let's just take a breath. Take a breath and just really allow that breath to center you. Allow that breath to center us, to just take a deep look at what is it that's calling you? What is it that's calling you to wake up right here and right now? Is it love that's calling you? Is it peace that's calling you? Is it patience that's calling you? Is it balance or harmony that's calling you? Because it's all the call of God. But how do you identify that which is calling you to wake up? That which is calling you to wake up. Is it justice that's calling you to wake up? And the thing for us to do is to be so aware of what's going on with us inwardly, so aware of what's happening for us internally, so aware of what's happening for us in consciousness, that we can recognize the call when it comes, the call that's saying, wake up, wake up. It's time to wake up. Ernest Holmes says that awakening is a process of evolution. It's a process of evolution, a little here, a little there, until the whole eye is opened to the head. The whole eye has been opened to the fact that we are not apart from God, and that we are not, that there's nothing different from good, that we are not different from good, that God is life itself. Life is God, and good is the only power that is and only power that can be. The only power that is and the only power that can be is good. And so that good is always calling to us. That knowingness that God is all there is, that knowingness that there is no life apart from God, and that we need to awake to that. We need to awake to that. And we awake, as he said, if there's a process, a little here, a little there. We don't all wake up at once. Sometimes we spring awake from a nightmare, and sometimes we don't. But the whole point is that we have to recognize that awakening is a process of evolution. It is a process of evolution. Think about just when you're waking up from a deep sleep and you open your eyes and you stretch a little bit and you think about you don't want to get up, and you open up a little bit and you start to realize, I got to get up and I gotta get going. I got to get my day going, or whatever the case may be. And we start to do that as a part of a process. We kind of move around in our bodies, begin to realize that, okay, now I'm waking up. Now I'm becoming aware. Now I'm becoming in tune or aligned with myself, with my inner beingness, so that I can move forward into my day. That's how we usually wake up. And that's what Holmes is describing when he's saying a little bit here, opening one eye, a little bit there, opening another eye, until the whole eye is open to the fact that there is no life apart from God. There's no life apart from God. Life is not different from good. And those are the things that it is so important for us to recognize. And so if there's no life apart from God, then there's no life apart from each other. There's no life apart from any of us. And that's what we have to wake up to again, that there's only one life. We are all a part of this one life. We are all in this life together. And it is so important for us to begin to answer the call, answer that inner call that's calling to us right here, right now. Answer it so that we can begin to move forward in life and live in the one life. Live in the one life. Live together as one. Live together as one, and not fall back to sleep. Not fall back to sleep. You know, the things that we are going through, as I've said here before, the things that we are experiencing now, just with social inequality, all those things, these are things we've experienced before. These are things we've been through many times before. But when we think about 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, we were dealing with some of the same issues. People were really rallying around voters' rights and voting rights, and getting people registered to vote and having the right to vote and getting the voting rights bill passed. That happened, and everyone rallied around it. And then people fell asleep because they thought it had, well, that's been taken care of. We don't have to be vigilant about that any longer. We don't have to think about that any longer because it's already taken place. And then we look up now and we begin to recognize that we still are dealing with voter suppression. We still are dealing with people, the Voting Rights Act being chipped away at. We still are dealing with the facts that more and more rights are being diminished. And what's happening is because people are falling asleep again. People have hit that snooze button and say, oh, well, I don't have to worry about that any longer because that's all taken care of. That was taken care of in the past. And you know what? The Great Awakening is reminding us that awakening is always happening. Awakening is always happening. And as we wake up to what's calling us, the thing for us to do, the second thing for us to do is stay woke. Stay woke. We have to stay woke. We have to stay vigilant. We have to stay aware. We have to live in that place of awareness. We can't fall asleep again. We have to know that what I want for myself, I have to want for you. What you want for yourself, you have to want for me. We have to know that we're all, as I said, we're all in this together. We're all in this life together. We're all in this life together. And so we have to walk through this world together. We have to walk through this life together. Martin Luther King said that we have to all recognize, we must recognize that we must learn to live together as brothers, or we will all perish together as fools. We must all learn to live together as brothers, or we will all perish together as fools. But the important thing for us to get is that we do it together, whichever one it is. If we're living together or if we're perishing, it's together because there's only one life, there's only one world, and we all live in it. And so this is what the awakening is for each of us, to be aware that yes, I love my life. I want my life to be good. I want my life to be big. I want my life to be expanded. I want all these different things I want. And I also want these things for you. I also want these things for all of us. I also want these things for everyone. Everyone. Because until all of us are free, until all of us are abundant, until all of us are prosperous, until all of us are living in wholeness, then none of us is. None of us is. And these are the things that we have to awaken to. And again, now that we are awake, stay woke, stay vigilant. Do the things that you can do. Look at how you're living your life. What is it that you can do to make the world a better place? If it's deepening in your own consciousness, if it's doing your own spiritual work, it makes the world a better place. Because your life changes and everything around you changes. Because your vibration changes, everything around you changes. You begin to attract more and more of what you want into your life, more and more of what you want, and having the kind of world you'd like to live in. And as a consequence, it expands out into the world. And so this awakening that's happening is so important for all of us. This staying awake is so important for all of us. This being concerned about each other. This being connected. Yes, we want to stay connected with our community. We want to stay connected with our congregation. We want to stay connected out into the broader community. We want to take the love and the connection that we have out into the broader community. We want to make sure we're all okay. We want to make sure that we all have opportunities. We want to make sure that the love that we share is shared everywhere. It's shared everywhere. This is a part of what walking awake is all about. This is a part of what walking awake is all about. Take nothing for granted. Don't take people for granted. Don't take situations for granted. Be grateful in each and every moment. Be grateful in each and every moment for the friends that we have, for the loved ones that we have, for the strangers that we meet, for the people who come in and out of our lives, for the people we can help, for the acts of kindness that we experience, for the opportunities to show gratitude that we have. Being so grateful for all of these things. Being so grateful for all of these things gives us the opportunity to walk in wakefulness, to walk through this world awake without falling asleep again, without playing Rip Van Winkle again. This is what I'm inviting us all to do. And so the other thing I'd like us to keep in mind is to let your life articulate God's vision. God has a vision for each one of us. God has a vision for all of our lives. God has a vision for itself as each one of us. Let your life articulate that vision. Let your life articulate that vision, because whatever is happening for us, whatever it is that's calling to us, whatever it is that's calling us to come deeper, that's the call of God. That's the call of pure spirit. And so when we're being called that way, when we're being called to change something, we go back to the vision and questions. What must I change? What must I become? When we're being called to become something, when we're being called to change something, when we're being called to grow in a particular way, when we're being called to do that, when we start to do that, that's how our lives articulate the vision. That's how our lives articulate how it is God wants to show up. And so we want our own livingness to be an articulation of God's vision. What must I release so that I can create a space for God's vision? What must I release? When we start to let those things go, we are articulating the vision. This is what wakefulness does for us, because we have to be awake to know what it is we need to let go. We have to be awake to know what it is we must become. We have to be awake to know what it is we need to embrace. What spiritual quality do we want to embody? We have to be awake to know that. What spiritual quality is seeking expression through me? I have to be awake to know that. I have to be alert to know that. I have to be vigilant to know that. If order is seeking expression through me, then by me having order in my life, I'm articulating that vision. I'm articulating that vision. If love is seeking expression through you, then by you allowing more love into your heart, by you opening up to forgiveness and releasing and letting go of grudges and resentments and anger and all that stuff that would hold you back. When you recognize that these things are blocking you from experiencing all and expressing all of the love that there is, then you are awake to that something that's calling you. It is that forgiveness that's calling you, that love that's calling you. And when you are awake to that, then you start to do that practice. Then you start to do the forgiveness practice. You start to release the anger. You start to release all the judgment. You start to release all that stuff. Then we begin to recognize that I'm articulating God's vision. I'm articulating, by my very livingness, I'm articulating the vision. By my very livingness, I'm articulating the vision. And so this is what I'm inviting you today to do, to listen to that call from deep within. Wake up to that call from deep within. That's calling you forward, that's calling you to go deeper. And when you go deeper, we're going deeper in spirit. We're going deeper in God. We're going deeper into oneness. And we're beginning to recognize just what oneness is all about, just how much oneness is really being made manifest in this world. You know, I realized this morning when I started to think about this Zoom call, this Zoom service that we were having today, that technology has really brought us into oneness in a way that we would never have thought of it before. It has helped us to experience oneness in a way we would never have thought. Technology makes us to realize that there really is only one world. We don't have the boundaries. We don't have the territorial boundaries that we used to have. With technology, there's just one world. You just get on the internet and you're everywhere. You can go anywhere you want. That's when we begin to realize that those boundaries are all superficial. Those boundaries are all superficial. They're man-made boundaries. There's only one world. There's only one life. There's only one power. There's only one presence. There's only one of us here. This life is God's life. And it shows up as each one of us, everywhere, everywhere. It shows up as each one of us everywhere. We have to wake up to that. We have to wake up to the call of that, the necessity of being aware of that is what's calling us to go deeper so that we can experience this great awakening. We can experience the great awakening and the awakening into our own divinity. at a deep, deep, deep level. And as we awaken into our own divinity, we create a space for others to awaken into their own divinity and to awaken into the allness and the fullness of God. And that's what we want to do always. That's what we want to do always. And so I'm inviting you to wake up to what's calling you. Wake up to what's calling you forth, and then heed that call. Don't continue to walk asleep, dreaming you're awake. Keep walking forward in wakefulness. Keep walking forward in God. Keep walking forward in deepening in your spiritual practice. And one of the things that I just thought about was that the 10 golden minutes that I had talked about a couple of weeks ago at the community call last week. So many people were talking about how that was playing out in their lives. What's that's really beginning to mean for us as we first thing in the morning, upon awakening, the first thing in the morning is being aware of the power and the presence of God right where you are. First thing in the morning, being aware that there's but one life, and that life is God's life. That life is my life right here, right now. First thing in the morning, first thought, God. And then when we wake up to that, then we have dissolved, we have, as Ernest Holmes says, waking up to the realization that there is no life apart from God. Letting go of the belief that there is a life apart from God. Waking up to the realization that there is no life apart from God. And so when we wake up first thing in the morning and start our morning with there's only one life, that life is God's life. That life is my life now. And then that next step of saying, and I know that everything is working together for good in my life. When we get into that aspect of our awakening, then we go through our day. We go through our day and through our days in the awareness of our own divinity and in our awareness of our own oneness with God, in our awareness that God is always right where we are. Always right where we are. And if God is always right where we are, God is right where everyone is. Everyone is. And so we can learn to look at the world totally differently with this great awakening. We begin to look through the eyes of love and know that we cannot be in a place of love and look through the eyes of hatred at anyone or anything. So we're looking through the eyes of love. This is what the Great Awakening is all about. Wake up to love. Wake up to light. Wake up to peace. Wake up to harmony. Wake up to joy. Wake up to balance. Wake up to God. Wake up to the best life you can ever live. The best life you can ever live is what you want to wake up to. The best life you can ever live is a life that is living the allness and the fullness of God. That's what I invite you to do right here and right now. So let's take a deep breath as we just affirm within our entire being that we aren't falling asleep, we are wide awake. And let's turn into prayer right here and right now. And so as we just move into this time of knowing and sensing and feeling the presence of God, knowing that this presence of God is the only presence. This power of God is the only power. This life of God is the only life. The breath of God is the only breath. And this onlyness that is God is my very life. This onlyness that is God is the life of each of us here this day. It's the life of each of us here this day. The only life. One life. And it is from this place of awareness, of knowing that it is our life, it is my life, that I speak the word for each of us this day. I know that as we move forward into wakefulness, as we move forward into the awareness of the presence of God, we move forward into in love, in peace, in harmony, in joy, and all the qualities of God. And I know that as we do this, healing is happening in each and every life, everywhere that healing is necessary. Healing in the body temple is happening already. Every organ, cell, tissue, function of every body is filled with that radiant healing presence of God. In our bodies of affairs, the presence of God is healing. In our bodies of affairs, and it's showing up as prosperity, as abundance, as increase over and over and over again as we release and let go of lack and limitation of any kind. This word goes out to anyone who's affected by COVID-19, whether they're experiencing it themselves or have lost loved ones or have loved ones experiencing it, whatever the case may be. God is in the midst of everything. Healing is happening everywhere. Healing is happening everywhere. Healing is happening everywhere, for God is everywhere, everywhere present. God is the comforter. God is the all that is making all things new in every life. And so I'm just knowing in this moment that as I pause momentarily to in this circle of prayer, I pause momentarily so that you may speak the names of anyone you'd like held in prayer. You may speak their names silently aloud. You may speak them now. And so for all those whose names are spoken here this day, I know that God is right where each of them is, blessing and keeping and healing them and lifting them up and keeping them safe and guiding and directing. I know that the presence of God is in the midst of every situation and circumstance everywhere. That wholeness is everywhere. For God is everywhere. And so for the word spoken here, I just say, thank you, Father, Mother God. Thank you, Father, Mother God. Thank you, Father, Mother God, for the perfect manifestation of this word. I know indeed that all is well, for I know indeed that all is God. And I simply allow it to be. And so it is. Amen. And so let's just take a breath together as we move into our offering time. This is a time of giving and receiving, the time that we give of our tithes and offerings. And as you know, CLF is a tithing church, so we invite you to participate in this sacred service with us by tithing right here at CLF. You can do that by pressing the donate button on our website or clicking the links that are in the chat or using the text to tithe. However you do it, we really, really, really appreciate your contributions and your continued financial support of Creative Living Fellowship. And so why don't we just take a breath now as we move into our offering blessing together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God. And so it is. And so now Jamie Lula is going to bring us our offering song.
Better than I was before. Thought I was mistakes that I'd made. Thought that I'd done it wrong. Thought I'd never make a difference. Thought I wasn't worth a song. When I think I can, I haven't what I think I will become. I hold myself in reverence where I end up I belong. Thoughts are things I'm in control of. Thoughts can't turn my head around. Thought I'd break this to you easy. It's not harder than it sounds. When I think I can't, I haven't what I think I will become. I'ma hold myself in reverence where I end up I belong. 'Cause I'm better than I was before.
We're glad you stuck around also. Jamie, thank you very much for that beautiful song. And thank you so much for being with us. We hope that you'll come back and visit with us real soon. So let's take a breath together. I just have a couple of closing announcements. Just a reminder that we have a new member orientation next Sunday after service. And that's for people who want to become new members or those who would like to reactivate your membership. After you fill out the request form, please join us next Sunday after service for the new member orientation. And then we can welcome you into the family as active members. And that's what we'd like to do. Also, I'd like to remind you of the many ways that you can pray with a practitioner. We have the Zoom prayer room immediately after service. Practitioners will be in individual rooms to pray with you if you'd like to meet them on Zoom. You can also submit a written prayer request to the practitioner core at prayer@creativelivingfellowship.com. And the practitioners are praying over your prayer requests for 30 days. And you can also call one of our on-call practitioners. There's a list of them on our Facebook page, on our website, and in the chat so that you can call a practitioner if you'd like to have them pray with you live on the phone. So those are ways that you can meet with a practitioner, have prayer, and don't have to walk around with a heavy heart, feeling alone, because the practitioners are available to assist you, to support you in prayer. We have the Tuesday evening connection call. Don't forget that. We are doing life's purpose visioning this week. Last week, we had a great conversation, as I said, about the 10-minute the 10-minute miracle in our lives. That's really, really the golden minutes, 10 golden minutes. I call it miracle because it is a miracle also. But the 10 golden minutes, we had some great conversations about that. This week, we're going to be doing visioning. And we invite you to join us Tuesday evening from 6:30 to 7:45. And last but not least, certainly, don't forget to read the treatment for supply. Don't forget to say the treatment for supply. Don't forget to use the treatment for supply every day, twice a day if you can, and even more if you want, but certainly at least once a day. Use the treatment for supply. That is our community prayer, and we use it. It really works. It is so important for us to be doing that, using that during this time. It is so important for us to stay awake with the treatment for supply. So I invite you to do that. And then again, very importantly, as I always say, connecting with each other is one of the most important things that we can do, is to reach out to each other with cards and text messages or phone calls or emails or however we reach out to stay connected, to say, I love you, I miss you. And for those of you on Zoom today, to say, I was so glad to see you on Sunday, and I'm glad to see you. And I hope that those of you who are not here with us today on Zoom will try us out and come and see us, come and spend Sunday morning with us on Zoom so that you get to see each other. Meanwhile, take good care of yourselves. Be safe. I love you. God bless.